Hi, good morning, students. No one there in the lecture. It's 9 o'clock. Okay, let's watch a YouTube which I describe in a different way regarding this your subject. Hold on.
Career opportunities in corporate finance, or looking for understanding the building blocks of corporate finance, which helps in your academic learnings? If yes, this course is for you. The course represents the theoretical context for understanding and analyzing major financial snags of modern business firms. The course is engrossed on building skills in analyzing the typical corporate behavior in capital market operations. The course interprets the affiliations of agent and principal in raising funds and allocating capital, distributing returns across all the stakeholders to the business. The course also offers requisite knowledge for evaluating management decisions in creating value for the business. Before we dive into today's topic, let me take a minute to introduce you to Great Learning Academy, a free initiative by Great Learning, where a business. Let's say it is a small manufacturing firm you want to start with a limited number of employees, you want to start your business. What is that you need? What is that required for your business? It would be the idea, which is most important and the first important thing. You need to have a business idea. A business idea, when I say business idea, it would be a practical business idea or a feasible business idea, right? Then what else we need? We need skills. Skills to perform duties to succeed in the business. What else? The most important ingredient for business is money. Money is required for virtually everything in business. When we say money is required in the business, it would be for various reasons. For example, it would be to pay your suppliers, to buy raw materials, to pay your employees, to pay the stationaries, to pay the rentals. It may be for any reason. Now, money is required, inevitable for business. We need money. Without money, we'll not be able to start the business. Technically, it is not possible to start a business. But where do we bring the money? A businessman can find various routes to find this money, right? Because this money is not available free of cost. This is not in abundance. This is a limited resource which is coming with cost. For example, if 10,000 rupees need to be received from some external sources, it would come with its own cost. Now, when we say the money is important for a business, the same thing is true with a corporate also, with a multinational company also. They also need money for various reasons. For example, to pay day-to-day operations of the business, to take care of daily expenses, to pay salaries, right? To pay service providers, to import raw materials from various locations, to pay the rentals of the buildings, the assets, to pay off the existing loans, or it may be to acquire new assets. It may be any of these reasons. So, in that context, corporate is business, finance is nothing, it's all about money, a corporate finance. So, now let us understand the definition of corporate finance so that it gives you a right perspective about what it is all about. Corporate finance is a broad area of finance that discusses about the sources of funds and the application of funds and the strategic decisions that finance manager take to increase the value of stakeholders. When we say the sources of funds, that means from where a businessman can bring money. What are the sources available? What are the options available to raise funds? When we say the application, right? The application of funds. When we bring money into the business from various sources, how these funds have to be utilized, how these funds have to be allocated for optimum results. In business, every choice that a business makes has financial repercussions or consequences, and any decision which touches the finances of a business is all about corporate finance. Largely, all that a business does comes under the rule book of corporate finance. Now, let's understand the goals of corporate finance. Why the corporate finance is, demanded so much, why it is growing to become a separated division in every corporate, why companies are having their own corporate finance divisions, why it is so important. Survival of the business is one of the most important goal of corporate finance. Corporate finance focuses more on the survival of the business rather focusing only on the profit maximization. Because when the business is able to survive during the tough conditions, the business will ensure it will take care of profits in the better conditions. And I think that is the reason why companies have been focusing more on survival even now during the COVID pandemic, the ongoing pandemic. The business firms, the corporates have been focusing more on survival than focusing more on profit. I think that is the reason the companies have been focusing on cutting cost, cutting expenditure, cutting the salaries, cutting the infrastructure cost, and cutting their employees, right? So they're focusing more on the survival. The corporate finance focuses more on the survival of the business rather focusing only on profit maximization. Beating competition is another important goal of corporate finance. Beating competition in the sense when a business is running, it is not running alone, right? So every business will have alternative, every business will have competitor, every company will be having competition in terms of price, quality, quantity, market share, geographical market share, and in all other aspects. So beating the competition is another important goal of corporate finance. Maximizing sales, maximizing market share are the goals of corporate finance. Every company prefer to maximize sales, thereby maximize the market share. Every company wants to become number 1, 2, 3. They want to be ranked first in the market. So every company strives towards that, and corporate finance goal is one among corporate finance is focusing more on maximizing the market share. Minimizing the cost is another important goal of corporate finance. So every attempt of the business should be, focused towards minimizing the cost, maximizing the results, minimizing the cost, maximizing the value for the business. But everything ultimately boils down to maximizing the value of stakeholders. So that is the ultimate goal of corporate finance. So maximizing the value of stakeholders. When we say the stakeholder, who is the stakeholder? The stakeholder is the person or a group of persons who are interested directly or indirectly in the business, who have active or inactive roles in the business. They may be internal or external to the business. Who are the external people who are interested in the business? Who are the external stakeholders to the business? They may be customers, they may be current customers or the past customers, or they may be the potential customers who are about to buy, about to become your customers. The suppliers, people who are actually supplying raw materials and other, the basics for manufacturing or services. They may be creditors, people who have given money to a business, the investors who are interested in the business, the tax authorities. The tax authorities are the people, the tax authorities will always be interested in business because they expect every business to pay tax according to the law of the land. The media continuously and closely monitors the functions and the operations of the business. The government agencies will also monitor the activities of business. So these are the external stakeholders to any business. Now, who are the internal stakeholders to the business? They may be shareholders, board of directors, employees, managers, auditors, or legal consultants or tax authorities. So these are internal stakeholders to the business. Now, let's understand corporate finance decisions with a small example. Let us consider a company is planning to spend 10 million for acquiring new assets if the proposed business project is approved by the client. So what are the corporate finance decisions to be taken in this case? A company is planning to spend 10 million for acquiring new assets considering a new business project. So what are the corporate finance decisions in this case? Should the project be accepted or rejected? What is the expectation of investors? Whether the investors are looking for profit or they're looking for capital gain. What are the cash flows from the project? So when the cash flows are expected to begin, how long the cash flows are expected to continue, when the project would break even, when the business would reach no profit, no loss zone. Break even is nothing but no profit, no loss zone. That means this is the point at which the total cost incurred by the business and the total revenue generated will be equal. And beyond this point, the business will start generating profit. Until then, it was a loss, and after that, it would be profit. But the break-even point is no profit, no loss zone. If this project is not accepted, how company can utilize 10 million? And what is the opportunity cost involved in this particular project? Opportunity cost means the cost incurred by the business by taking this particular project. If this project is not accepted, what else the business would have accepted? To explain this particular topic, opportunity cost, I would like to take a small example. Opportunity cost. Let's say there is a popular lawyer in a city. Let's say he's a civil lawyer. He's too good in handling civil cases and is very popular. At the same time, the lawyer is very good in typing. So most of the time, he prefers to take care of his typing activities by himself. So in this case, what is the opportunity cost? Just because the lawyer is too good in typing and is too good in law profession, he should not be going towards typing. That means he should not be spending too much of his precious time in typing, because his time is more valuable in law profession than in typing. Instead of spending so much of time on typing, he can just hire an accountant or typist who can just take care of typing activities, and the lawyer can pay the minimal salary to the typist and focus more on law profession to earn more and more business projects, more and more cases. not the business projects, it's a cases, right? So that is opportunity cost. What is the cost incurred by choosing an alternative? What is the dividend payout plan when the company is planning to pay the dividend? Whether the company is really interested in paying dividend or they just don't want to pay the dividend, rather they just want to make it a capital gain for the investor. Now, let us understand the nature of corporate finance decisions. What are the typical characteristics of corporate finance decision? Long-term orientation. The corporate finance decisions are taken from long-term perspective, and the decisions taken will have long-term repercussions. The decisions taken under corporate finance will have long-term goals. Most of the time, the corporate finance decisions will not focus too much on the tactical activities or day-to-day operations of the business. Rather, they focus on the long-term goals of the business. That may be creation of value, maximizing the profit, maximizing the wealth for the stakeholders. So all long-term orientation. Decisions on the large investments. So it largely discusses about how the large investments can be brought into the business. Okay, so what kind of investments can be brought in, what is the cost to be incurred, to bring that particular fund. So the large investments, where to invest money, from where to bring money to the business. So this is all about that. Impact on the financial results. The decisions taken under the umbrella of corporate finance will have the financial repercussions on the business. It will directly hit the top line or the bottom line. It may be the gross profit or the net profit. High notch of risk. The decisions taken under corporate finance will have high element of risk, because every decision will have its own consequences. It will be like a double-edged sword. So either way, it would hurt the business. Sometimes it would bring benefits, but most of the time the decisions taken under corporate finance will have the risk. Irreversible in nature. Like once the decisions are taken, it cannot be reversed. The business cannot reverse the decision. Once it is taken, it is done. So the business can just expect the consequences or the results. That's all. They cannot reverse it. Now let's understand one of the most important topic in corporate finance. This is agency relationship or principal agent relationship in corporate world. Most of the time, this becomes a serious problem in the corporate world, and sometimes the companies close down because of this particular reason. Okay, so before we dive deep into understand what is principal agent relationship in corporate world, let us quickly have a look at a simple daily life example, which would give you a different, the right perspective to understand what is principal and agent relationship in corporate world. Let's say you have a car. Okay, you have a car, and there is some problem in your car. There is some noise coming out from the engine part of the car, and you prefer to go to the garage to test it, because you don't know, you're not from mechanical background, you don't know anything about that, and you want to take your car to the garage. Now you take your car to the garage and connect with the mechanic. You will instruct him to check the problem. What is the problem in the car? Because you're experiencing some noise coming out from the engine. Now, by giving this responsibility to the mechanic, so you're just asking the mechanic to just check what is the problem. You'll become the principal, because you're instructing. You are the owner of the asset. You are instructing to mechanic, and you are the principal now. Now, mechanic is accepting your order, and you need to work according to your best interest. What is that you asked? You asked him to check the problem in engine part. Now, it is the duty of the mechanic to check and tell you what is the problem. you should do that because he's your agent. You are the principal, he is your agent. The duty of agent is to work according to the best interest, to work according to the best interest of the principal. What is principal expected is the same thing you need to do. Now, if the mechanic do the same thing, he'll just check the car and he identify the problem, he let you know this is the problem, this is the exact problem. There will be no agency problem that arises between you and the mechanic. The principal and agent relationship is smoother. But most of the cases that won't happen. Let's say in this example, mechanic don't want to disclose the actual problem. He would come and suggest you to go for a costly repair work, which would cost you some 20,000 rupees, right? But the actual problem is just a minimal, it's a nominal problem which could have been solved by taking a repair work at, at least within 5,000 rupees. But now mechanic is trying to reap maximum benefits from this opportunity. He is not ready to work according to the best interest of the principal, that is you. Now he is working according to his self-interest. He is focusing on his self-interest. He wants to make money. Now the agency problem arises between you and the mechanic, the principal and the agent. The same thing happens even in the business. Okay, so in a limited company, in a private limited company, the shareholders hire the board of directors and managers to take care of the daily activities of the business, because shareholders will not be able to take care of the daily operations because they are not specialized, they are not ready, they may not have time to focus more on the day-to-day activities of the business. They just choose board of directors or managers in the annual general body meeting, and they'll ask them to take care of the best interest of the shareholders and the overall business. Now, by doing that, shareholders will become the principals. Okay, they have become the principals. They're principals. Now, shareholders are hiring whom? They're hiring board of directors, or they're selecting board of directors. They'll choose some 5 to 6 individuals who can take care of the operations, the day-to-day activities of the business, or they can run the business on behalf of shareholders. These board of directors will become the agents. Okay, so they are the agents of the shareholders. So shareholders are the principal and board of directors are the agents. Now the duty of board of directors is to work according to the best interest of the shareholders. So what is that shareholders are expecting? Ensure the business generates enough of profit to take care of expenses, to take care of outstanding liabilities, to take care of future projects. That is the expectation from the shareholders. Now it is the duty of board of directors to ensure that the business generates sufficient profit, excess profit, so that the dividend can be distributed to the shareholders, the expenses can be paid to the to the stakeholders, or it can be the business can pay the tax, the business can take care of rest of the activities. If the business is not able to run, if the board of directors are not able to take care of the interest of shareholders, that's when the agency problem arises in the business. For example, in Satyam Computers example, Ramalinga Raju was he was supposed to take care of the best interest. He was in the board. So since being a board member, he was supposed to take care of the best interest of shareholders, but he did not do that. What he did window dressing of accounts. He manipulated the accounts, right? So because of that reason, most of the problems have been created for Satyam Computers, and ultimately it was had a lot of problems. So that is called the principal and agent relationship. Let's quickly refresh our memories, like what have we discussed so far. Corporate finance is a broad area of finance that discusses about the sources of funds and the application of funds. Every choice that a business makes has financial consequences, and any decision which touches the finances of a business is a corporate finance. Maximizing the value of shareholders or the stakeholders is the ultimate goal of corporate finance. Stakeholders to the business can be broadly classified into two categories: internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Corporate finance decisions are irreversible in nature. Agency problem arises when agent fails to act in the best interest of his or her principal. Now let's understand the corporate finance decisions. So how the corporate finance decisions are taken. Generally, corporate finance decisions are taken under three broad categories: capital investments, capital financing, dividend payout. Let's see each one of this one by one. Capital investment decisions. In an ideal world, a business need to accept all the business opportunities that comes in its way. For example, because the business is actually running for opportunities, right? So every business wait for opportunities, and opportunities are, like the real, the real moments for which every business generally waits for. But most of the time, business would not be able to accept all these business opportunities, though they live, they survive, they anticipate business opportunities. Though this statement looks contradictory and looks very, complicated, let me, take some examples and I'll show you why I'm making this statement. Sometimes business required to reject some of the business opportunities, though they are business opportunities. Let us see this example. Let's say a business has four business opportunities. Okay, so project A, B, C, and D. Four business opportunities are, available right now. Each project requires an initial investment of 15 lakhs. Okay, so when we mention minus in capital budgeting techniques, when we discuss about capital budgeting techniques, we mention initial investment in minus because this is the cash outflow. This amount is going from the business. Okay, 15 lakhs. Every project, project A, B, C, and D, all these projects require an initial investment of 15 lakhs. Year 1 onwards, okay, so they'll start generating the cash flows. Year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and so forth. Okay, so year 1, project A generates 3 lakhs. Year 2, project A generates 1 lakh, and year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, there is no cash flow. Maybe year 7, the business may generate cash flows, but the data is not available. Now, project B. Project B also requires an initial investment of 15 lakhs. Same thing. So project B also in the first year, it will generate 3 lakh. Year 2, it's 1 lakh, and there onwards, there is no cash flow. Project C requires an initial investment of 15 lakhs, but it does not yield any benefit or does not yield any return in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, but it yields some returns in year 5 and year 6. That is 3,50,000 year 5 and 3,50,000 in year 6. Now, let's see project D. So what is the initial investment required? For this project also, it requires 15 lakhs initial investment, but there is no cash flow in year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4, but there is a cash flow from year 5 onwards, year 5 and year 6. Now, if we look at this example, this simple example, what do we gather? What do we understand? Project A B, C, and D, all these 4 projects requires an initial investment of 15 lakhs each. But project A and B start yielding returns from year 1 onwards. Okay, so 3 lakh, 1 lakh, 3 lakh, 1 lakh. Okay, so they'll not take any time. Year 1 onwards, they'll start generating returns, but after that, there is no cash flow. Maybe after year 6, they would yield cash flows. There is no data available for this project. But if you look at project C and D carefully, project C requires an initial investment of 15 lakhs. D also requires an initial investment of 15 lakhs, but they are not yielding anything until 5th year. 5th year onwards, project C is generating 3,50,000 and 3,50,000 in year 6. Okay, so now what we understand from this is like when it comes to the priority. Okay, so when it comes to the priority, the order. Okay, so when it comes to the priority, project A and project B are prioritized for investment, and project C and D will be kept on hold because project A and B recovers initial investment early in the early stage of the project. Okay, it is not, though it is not a full recovery of the cash flow, but it recovers some of the amounts, right? So out of 15 lakhs, it is recovering 3 lakhs plus 1 lakh, so 4 lakhs it is recovering. Even project B is recovering 4 lakhs in 2 years time. But if you see project C and D, they're waiting until 5th year to recover the initial investment, which is dangerous. Okay, so this is dangerous for the business because every business, okay, so every business should recover the investments as early as possible because the business is always uncertain. Okay, business means uncertain, so uncertainty is another meaning for business. So in an uncertain business world, recovering the initial investment is important because risk taking protection against the risk is more important than making profit or anticipating abnormal profits in the long run. So project A and B preferred against project C and D because they are recovering at the initial stage itself. So that is the reason we have mentioned that business should not accept all the business projects. Though the business has got 4 projects, but it should not accept all the 4 projects because 2 projects are yielding cash flows from year 5 onwards, which is not safe for the business. Okay, so that's a reason capital budgeting techniques play a vital role when it comes to the financial decisions, okay, the investment decisions of the business. There are 4 important capital budgeting techniques used by the corporates, but these capital budgeting techniques are not limited to these 4, but these 4 are traditional and most popular methods used by the corporates. Payback period method, okay, net present value NPV, internal rate of return IRR, break even analysis. Okay, so break even analysis, this is also called as BEP analysis, break even point analysis. So these are the 4 important methods used by corporates, and these are the traditional yet the most demanded, most popular capital budgeting techniques used by the corporates. So let's have a look at each one of this. Let's understand how these methods work. Payback period. Okay, so what is the payback period, payback method? This capital budgeting largely discusses about how quickly the business is able to recover the initial investment. Is all simple. So how quickly the business is able to generate the cash flows and how quickly the business is able to recover the initial investment. Okay, so to calculate the payback period, we use this equation. Okay, so payback period is equal to initial investment divided by net annual cash inflow. Let's have a look at some of the examples so that it is very clear to you. So a business has got 4 projects. Okay, so there are 4 projects available for a business. Each project requires an initial investment of 1 lakh. Okay, so 1 lakh minus means this is the initial investment, cash outflow. Okay, so cash outflow. Cash outflow. Project A yields 30,000 in year 1, 40,000 in year 2, 10,000 in year 3, 20,000 in year 4. Okay. Project B, 40,000 year 1. Yeah. 40,000 year 1, 30,000 year 2, 30,000 year 3, 40,000 year 4. Project C yields 1 lakh in year 1, 50,000 in year 2, 30,000 in year 3, 50,000 in year 4. Okay. So just focus on the cash flows. Project D yields 50,000 in year 1, 50,000 in year 2, 20,000 in year 3, 10,000 in year 4. Okay. So now let us look at this part, the payback period. Okay. So this part. Now, if you see project A, the initial investment was 1 lakh. Okay. So how much time, the project took to recover the initial investment? 30,000 plus 40,000 plus 10,000 plus 20,000. Okay. So 30, 40, 70 plus 10, 80, 80 plus 20, 1 lakh. So it took 4 years. Okay. So this requires 4 years to recover the initial investment. That means how quickly the business is recovering the initial investment? Project A is requiring 4 years to recover the initial investment. Now let's see project B. Project B is recovering 40,000, 30,000, 30,000, 40,000. So 40,000 plus 30,000 plus 30,000. So third year, okay, 40,000 plus 30,000, 70,000, 70,000 plus 30,000, 1 lakh. So in third year, project B is recovering the initial investment. Okay. Now, project C, initial investment was 1 lakh, and the first year itself, the project C is recovering 1 lakh. Second year 50,000, third year 30,000, and third year, fourth year 50,000. So first year itself, it is recovering the initial investment. So the payback period was 1 lakh. Sorry, 1 year. Now, project D. Project D, initial investment was 1 lakh, year 1 50,000, 50,000, 20,000, 10,000. So in 2 years, the project is recovering 1 lakh. Okay, so it requires 2 years. Now, what we need to understand is how quickly the business, the project is, the business is able to recover the initial cost is what we need to understand from payback period. If you look at this example carefully, project C has taken a least time, that is 1 year, to recover the initial investment. Okay, and if you see project A, it has taken 4 years to recover the initial investment. In this case, which project is more safer and which project is more riskier? Right? Project C is more safer and project A is more riskier. Okay, so project C yields recovers initial cost, initial investment in 1 year. Project A recovers in 4 years. So when it comes to the priority, business should invest in project C and should ignore project A. Okay, so that is called payback period. That's a payback calculation. Now let's understand the advantages of using payback period method. It is Simple to understand. Okay, so it is straightforward because payback period calculation does not involve any complicated mathematics. It is just simple how quickly the business is able to recover the initial investment. So simple to understand, easy to calculate. It is just addition of cash flows until the complete initial investment is recovered. Payback period method allows for the ranking of business projects. So based on the payback period, the time taken to recover the initial cost, so we can rank the business projects and we can prioritize. Payback period stresses more on the cash flows, not on the accounting aspect of the profit. Okay, so what is important? How much cash is required, right? How much of cash is recovered is calculated, and accounting profit is not taken into account. So cash flows are given the importance. Less time consuming. Calculation of payback period is very quicker because there is no complications involved in the calculation of cash flows. You just keep adding cash flows until you recover the initial investment is all we do in project payback period. That's why it is less time consuming. Let's quickly have a look at a simple example in payback calculation so that it will be more clear to you. Raghav Limited is interested in a project requiring an initial investment of 50 lakhs and is anticipating generating of rupees 5 lakhs in year 1, 7 lakhs in year 2, 10 lakhs in year 3 and 14 lakhs in year 4 and 25 lakhs in year 5. From the details given above, calculate the payback period for the project and recommend which project is more feasible for from investment point of view. So we will first, when we need to calculate the payback period, we first need to list the cash flows received for the business. Okay, so let's say for how many years? This is for 5 years. For 5 years, the business is going to generate the cash flow. So first year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why 0? This is the starting of the business. So that is why it is 50 lakhs is minus, it is in the bracket. Okay, so 50 lakhs is in bracket because this is the initial investment. Okay, so now, so initial investment is 50 lakhs and year 1 onwards, year 1 there is no cash flow because this is only cash outflow. Okay, so cash outflow on initial investment. So cash inflow starts from year 1. So 5 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 10 lakhs and 14 lakhs and 25 lakhs. So now to calculate payback period, what we have to do, we have to calculate cumulative cash flows. Okay, so we just keep adding the cash flows. Okay, so we need to add cash flows. So initial investment was 50 lakhs. It was initial investment to do minus. Now year 1, how much is recovered? What is the amount we cash flow? It was 5 lakhs, right? It was 5 lakhs. So 5 lakhs received, recovered. So 50 lakhs was initial investment, 5 lakh recovered first year. So what is the remaining amount? 45 lakhs. So 45 lakhs to be recovered in the remaining cash flows. Now, second year, how much is the cash flow? 7 lakhs. So 45 lakhs minus 7 lakhs, it is going to be 38 lakhs. So 38 lakhs to be recovered from the remaining cash flows. Now, third year, there is another cash flow, 10 lakhs. So 38 lakhs minus 10 lakhs, 28 lakhs. So 28 lakhs to be recovered from the remaining cash flows. From 28 lakhs, fourth year, there is a cash flow of 14 lakhs. Okay, so 14 lakhs to be, recovered. And from 28 lakhs, if you recovered 14 lakhs, what is remaining? 14 lakhs. So 14 lakhs to be recovered from the remaining cash flow. Now, what is the amount to be recovered? What is the balance to be recovered? 14 lakhs. What is the cash flow on fifth year? It is 25 lakhs. Okay, so we need just 14 lakhs to completely recover the initial investment of 50 lakhs. Okay, so we need 14 lakhs, but we have the cash flow of 25 lakhs. So here is the calculation which we need to be very careful. We have to calculate this using the equation which I showed you just now. What is the equation? So payback period, okay, is equal to initial investment divided by net annual cash inflow. Okay, so what we do, first 4 years we have taken because it is already recovered, 4 years plus. So what is the initial investment to be recovered now? It is just 14 lakhs. Okay, so the 14 lakhs divided by net annual cash inflow. What is the cash inflow on 5th year? 25 lakhs. So 25 lakhs. Okay, yeah, so 25 lakhs. So if you just divide 14 lakhs by 25 lakhs, it is going to be 0.56. Okay, so 4 years plus 0.56 is 4.56 years. This is the payback period. Okay, so this project has a payback period of 4.5 years. Considering these cash flows, the project will recover the initial investment in 4.5 years. I hope it is clear to you. Now let us see the limitations of payback period. Okay, so no capital budgeting technique is free from the limitation. Neither any technique nor any method is free from the limitations, right? So every system will have its own benefits or plus and minus. One of the most important limitation of payback period is this ignores the time value of money, right? So time value of money, one of the most important topic in financial management is time value of money, and payback period eliminates time value of money. Okay, because it stresses more on the cash flows, not on the opportunity cost. Okay, so opportunity cost is one of the most important topic discussed in corporate finance. Okay, so time value of money, the rupee earned today is worth more than the rupee that would be earned tomorrow, right? The rupee invested today is worth more than the rupee that would be invested tomorrow, right?
Hi. ළමයි මේ වීඩියෝ එක හරිම ඉන්ට්‍රස්ටඩ්. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙනවා ඇති කොච්චර හොඳට පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් කරනවද කියලා. මම මේකේ ලින්ක් එක දෙන්නම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට. ලොග ෂෙයා කරගෙන සම්පූර්ණයෙන් බලන්න. මොකද මේක පැය දෙකක විතර ලෙක්චර් එකක්. මේ සෑහෙන පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් කරනවා. දැන් මට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ ඇවිල්ලා අද අදින් නීතියත් එක්ක මේ රටේ තියෙන අලුත් සිටුේෂන් එකත් එක්ක මම දන්නවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉන්ටර්න් යනවා කියන එක මම අද පිළිගන්නේ නැහැ. බොහෝ දුරට මේ හුඟක් කම්පැනි අද වහලා තියෙන්නේ. අනිත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉන්ටර්න් වල ලොකු කාර්යභාරයක් හෝ ලොකු ජොබ් රෝල් එකක් නැහැනේ. මේ ලොකු රෙස්පොන්සිබිලිටි එකක් නැහැනේ උරුණෝ කියලා කම්පැනි වල ඔපරේෂන් එක නවතින්නෙත් නැහැ, පඩිනොගව ඉන්නෙත් නැහැ. එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ. මම ආන්නේ දැන් ලෙක්චර් එකේ දැන් 14යි ඉන්නේ. බැච් එකකින්. එතකොට මේක තමයි ස්ටුඩන්ට්ස් ලගේ ජෙනරල් උනන්දුව. දැන් අර පෞගේ මේ මීටින් දෙකේ මට දෙවෙනි මීටින් එකට සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න හැකි වුණේ නැහැ මේ හිල් රිසර්ච් එක්ක ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගෙතිවිච්ච. ඒ තිවිච්ච උනන්දුව මේ ලෙක්චර්ස් වලට නැහැ. මොකද දැන් third year students ලා සුබාන 15කට පස්සේ මට ඊයේ කතා කරලා කියනවා උගන්නපු දේවල් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. ඒක හරි ලස්සනයි එතකොට. සෙමෙස්ටර් එක ඉවරුණා. මොකද මම එතෙන්දි පැහැදිලි කරපු දේ තමයි මේක ඔයගොල්ලන්ටත් කියන්න ඕනේ. මම කියන්නේ සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්නේ. ඕගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා ඕගොල්ලෝ රාජ්‍ය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයකට ඇතුළත් වීමට අවශ්‍ය සුදුසුකම් මොකක් හරි හේතුවකට තිබුණේ නැහැ කියලා. එතකොට රාජ්‍ය විශ්වවිද්‍යාලවල ඉගෙන ගන්න ළමයි කොච්චර මහන්සි වෙනවද තමන්ගේ උපාධිය සම්පූර්ණ කරන්න. ඒ ඉන්නේ අපි වගේම ලෙක්චර්ස් තමයි. ඒතර ඕගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රයිවට් යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ ඉන්නවා. ඒතර ඔප්ෂන් දෙකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක ඕගොල්ලෝ ගවර්න්මන්ට් ෆන්ඩ් වලින් එහෙම නැත්නම් දෙමෝපියන්ගේ සල්ලි වලින්. ඒතර ඕගොල්ලෝ හිතනවාද මේ සල්ලි වියදම් කළා කියලා ඉවරලා ලේසියෙන් විභාග පාස් වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. එහෙම මේ චාර්ටර්ඩ් ඉන්ස්ටිටියුට් එකවත් එහෙම නැත්නම් CIMA ඉන්ස්ටිටියුට් එකවත් එහෙම මේ සල්ලි දුන්නා කියලා ඉවරලා විභාග පාස් කරවන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම දේශීයෙන් පාස් වෙන්න පුළුවන් වුණා නම් මම චාර්ටර් ඇකවුන්ටන්ට් කෙනෙක් නේද? මට ඒක කරන්න බැරි වුණා. ඒක නිසා මේ විභාග විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ශිෂ්‍යයෝ වුණාම මේ උසස් පෙළ ළමයි නෙමේ මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕනේ. මහන්සි වෙලා ඒ ගැන රිසර්ච් කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද හැමතිස්සෙම ජගත් සර්ලා, උදේශ් සර්ලා සහ හිලක සර්ලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මීටින්ග්ස් වල කියන්නේ මේ ළමයි වුණාම සෑහෙන ලොකු දෙයක් මේ තමන්ගේ පාර්ට් එකෙන් කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා ඉවර වෙලා. එහෙම නැතුව හැමදේම ස්පූන් ෆීඩ් කරන්නේ නැහැ මේ ලෙක්චර්ස් වල වුණාම. හරි ඔයගලන්ට මේ අද 14 වෙනිදා මම හිතන්නේ අද දවසේ මට ඔයගලන්ගේ ප්‍රශ්න පත්‍රයේ පිළිවෙත මොඩරේට් කළා දෙයි. මට ඊට පස්සේ ඔක ඔයගලන්ට ෂෙයා කරන්න පුළුවන්. සෝරි. ඒකේ මම චෙක් ෂෙයා කරන්න මම කිව්වේ මේ මම චෙක් කරන ඒරියාස් ටික විතරක් ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක ඩිස්කස් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඊළඟ සෙෂන්ස් වලදී. අද වෙනකොට මම සෙෂන් 15ක් ඔයගලන්ට කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් assignment එක සම්බන්ධව හෝ එහෙම නැත්නම් මෙච්චර කල් උගන්වපු දේවල් සම්බන්ධව ඔයගලන්ට මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් මාත් එක්ක කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට තව අද 14 වෙනිදා අපිට තව 27 වෙනකන් කල් තියෙනවා සෙමෙස්ටර් එකේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් එක්ස්ට්‍රා සෙෂන්ස් කරනවද නැද්ද කියලා තීරණයක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මොනවාද කියනවා නම් මාත් එක්ක දැන් කතා කරා. හොඳයි එහෙනම් මේ ඔය YouTube දාපු link එකේ ඉතුරු ටික සම්පූර්ණ බලන්න. ඒක සෑහෙන මම පැහැදිලි කරපු දේවල් වල තවත් වැඩිපුර පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් සහ සමහර මම පැහැදිලි නොකරපු දේවලුත් මේ ලෙක්චර් එක හොඳට පැහැදිලි කරලා කියනවා. දැන් ජොයින් වෙලා නැති අනිත් දැන් 16 දෙනානේ ඉන්නේ. ඉතුරු කට්ටියත් එක්කත් මේක ෂෙයා කරන්න. අපි පේපර් එක මොඩරේට් කරලා ආවට පස්සේ අදවස මේ ලබන සෙන්සුරාදා ලෙක්චර් එකේදී සාකච්ඡා කරමු මේ මොන වගේ ඒරියාස් වලටද කන්සන්ට්‍රේට් කරන්න ඕන එක්සෑම් එකේදී කියලා. ඊළඟට මතක තියාගන්න මේ 20 වෙනිදා ඉවර මේ ඔයගලගේ ඩෙඩ්ලයින් එක ඔයගලගේ මේ කන්ටිනියස් ඇසස්මන්ට්ස් අතර දීපු ඉන්ඩිවිජුවල් සහ ගෲප් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් මට එවන්න. රටේ තියෙන තත්ත්වෙත් එක්ක සහ ඩීසල් ඒ ඇතුළු සියලුම දේවල් කල්පනා කරලා ඔන්ලයින් ඔයගලන්ට මට ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන්ස් ටික කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ විදිහට ගෲප්ස් ලැහැත්ති වෙන්න. මේ ගෲප්ස් වල සියලු දෙනාම ලැහැත්ති වෙන්න ඒ විදිහට ජොයින් වෙන්න. අනිත් එක ගෲප් වල කන්ට්‍රිබියුෂන් එක දැන් ඒක ගෲප් එකේ එක මෙම්බර් කෙනෙක් කන්ට්‍රිබියුට් කළා ඔක්කොම ලකුණු දෙන එක හරි අසාධාරණයි. ඒක නිසා මට පැහැදිලිව කියන්න මම ඊට කලින් ෂීට් එකක් එවලා ඇති ගෲප් කන්ට්‍රිබියුෂන් එක කොහොමද කියලා ගෲප් අසයින්මන්ට් එකේ. ඒකට එයාලට විතරයි ලකුණු හම්බෙන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ හරියටම ලේසියෙන් මහන්සි වෙලා ගෲප් අසයින්මන්ට් එක සහ ඉන්ඩිවිජුවල් අසයින්මන්ට් එක දෙකම කළා නම් ළමයි ලකුණු 40 කෙසේ වෙතත් අඩුම ගානේ 35 38ක් ලකුණු ප්‍රමාණයක් එයි. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තව ලකුණු 30ක් 35ක් විතරයි ගන්න ඕනේ මේකට B එකක් ගන්න. ඒතකොට කොහොමත් මේ විෂය කිසිම කෙනෙක් ෆේල් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ ඇෂුරන්ස් එක තියෙනවා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්නේ තාමත් කල් තියෙනවා මේ අද 14 වෙනිදා අනිත් එක මේ තියෙන ඇදිරි නීතිය මේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම ප්‍රශ්නත් එක්ක එළියට එන්න බැරි ප්‍රශ්නත් එක්ක උපරිම ප්‍රයෝජනය අරගෙන මේ විෂය ගොඩ දාගන්න. ලංකාවේ තත්ත්වය පේනවනේ එන්න තියෙන දරුණු තත්ත්වය. ඒකයි. හරි එහෙනම් we'll meet next week. Okay.